Hello, my name is Dan Bolkowski. I am the manager here at the Michigan State University Horticulture Department's teaching greenhouses. We're going to take a little tour around the greenhouses to show you some of our operation. And we're going to start right here with the brains of our environmental controls, this computer console here. What happens is out in the greenhouses there is a temperature sensor in each of the houses and two in each hallway. And they will take readings every 90 seconds, and then that information goes to the panels in the hallway, and then from there goes to the computer. The computer reads that data, analyzes it, adjusts the different devices, say the vents or fans, and then sends that information back to the greenhouses, all within 90 seconds. All right. So what we have here, this is a representation of our greenhouses. All these monopoly houses, the greens and the red hotels, are representing the greenhouses. The reds are indicating that something might be wrong in the greenhouse. We have a sunny day today. The temperatures might be a little warm in the greenhouses, warmer than what the set points are set for. So that's why they're turning up red. If we click onto one of the icons for the greenhouses, and then here represents all the devices within that greenhouse. So right now, this little fan is circulating. That's the horizontal airflow fan. And so that's giving the greenhouse constant circulation so the air doesn't become stagnant, and then diseases would be proficient in those type of environment. If it gets really warm out, then these other fans would come on to draw the air through to cool the greenhouses. This gives us, what lights may be on. It gives us the set points for the greenhouse, where it's going to cool or warm when the temperature drops below 68 and cool when the temperature goes above 72 degrees. And then it also gives us our vent positions for our roof vents and the side vents. So in a glance, this will tell us what's going on within this greenhouse. So here's one of the greenhouse sensors. We've just recently put this new sensor in. So this sensor is an aspirated sensor, meaning there's air flowing through it. There's a little 12 volt or 24 volt fan in there drawing the air through to give a more accurate reading of the temperature in the greenhouse. So it takes the reading, and then through these wires goes to the panel in the hallway, to the greenhouse back, and then it will adjust whether the fans need to come on or the vents need to open for cooling. Or if it needs to be heated, then the hot water comes through to the fins for heating the greenhouse. But since it's a sunny day, cold outside, it's very warm inside. All right. So here's the panel coming from that house we were just in. The temperature reading comes through this panel, through this circuit board, and then back to the main computer. And then again, I know I'm repeating, but it comes back to here, and then it sets the devices where the temperatures need to be set at. And if I need to, I can come in here and manually adjust, different devices if I need to do it immediately right here in place. But for the most part, the computer does all of the controls for the environmental devices in the greenhouses. Because the sun is shining today, with the greenhouses having been glass enclosed, the temperatures become really warm inside here. So we've turned the fans off, but normally the fans would be running. The cooling system within our greenhouses is a pad and fan system. So what happens is cool air is drawn through the center vents in the hallway, through these pads, and then exhausted out the side walls through those large fans. If it was really warm out, which it's darn close to being that here in a greenhouse, water would actually come through these pads to create a cooling effect as the air is drawn through the pads and then vented out the side wall fans. One of the first stages of cooling in the greenhouse is for just the vents to open up. So if those center roof vents open up, it allows for cool or cold air to come into the greenhouses. And then after that stage, those vents will close, and then the fans will come on the wall, and then we'll draw air through the pads to cool the greenhouses. But initially, the cooling begins in the ceiling. So what we have here is our fertilizer injector system. This model is a dosatron. What happens is water comes through these meters, comes through the dosatron and through the pumping system, the pumping action, it siphons or draws up stock fertilizer that's located below here, and it comes up through and it's metered at a 1% solution. So our ratio is 1 to 100. And then it comes out through this hose here, and then it's sent down to all of the greenhouses. A couple years ago in our greenhouses, we were able to install these LED lights. We had a donation, so we had these lights installed to us. The reason that they are kind of a pinkish or purplish color is that plants prefer red light and blue light. What you see plants that are green is because they reflect that spectrum of light. So that's why these lights appear kind of pinkish, whether they're emitting red, far red, and blue light. And then on this side of the greenhouse are the old standard high pressure sodium lights. These have been used for many years. It's a full spectrum of light. The disadvantage with these is that they emit a lot of heat. It's like touching the sun when you get near that light bulb. And they're very expensive to run. It takes a lot of energy to run these HPS lamps. Right now we are in our propagation house. We also call it our mist house. I'll show you why in a second. But what happens in here is we take cuttings and we try to root them, or we sow seed flats and we start them, in this house. They'll germinate in here. So this is where we, create all of our new plants. So what we do to start with is underneath these two benches are large reservoirs. There's 2,000 gallons of water in each one. And the water comes from either rain or the snow. When it melts, it comes down those gutters, drain pipes, and then it fills these two reservoirs. And we collect rainwater because our regular water has so much calcium in it that it'll plug up some of our actual plumbing. And so the reason, again, we call this the mist house is the water, when it's time to come on, the water comes through this header pipe and down these drip tubes and out of these emitters, and it creates kind of a misting effect. And with all that calcium in our water, those misting emitters would plug right up. So that's why we use pure rainwater. So you can see on this bench all of the current things that we're trying to propagate. One of the classes, he's propagating some grapes. They're growing some beans and corn plants. I see some rosemary there. Some different house plants are started, and then several trays of seeds have begun in here as well. From time to time, you may have heard some clanging going on, and what happens is plants will root better and germinate better if they have bottom heat along the root system. So what we have is steam pipes coming through or coming underneath these benches, and so it makes these much warmer than the surrounding air.